Hello everyone, this is Syndicate, and today I'm gonna try out a little bit of a different kind of video. And I just kind of want to talk about like what I'm thinking about with TDX right now, because I think the game is in a weird spot, and I think it needs to be talked about, and I don't really see people talking about it. What I've been thinking about is, what does the future look like for TDX? So this is kind of hard to tell because this game is pretty unique, as it was created in a time of TDX obviously, like, the player base not being happy with the game, and that contributed to probably a lot of the players that came from TDX on release. Now granted, this game has been overhyped like crazy for the past year and a half by John and his player base. Not overhyped, but it's been hyped up, let's say. And I think that contributed to a lot of like the early players that started to play this game. And the range that we're seeing now is about probably like the player base that we're going to be seeing for a long time unless a change is made. Now, this is kind of concerning because it is obviously the #2 tower defense game on Roblox right now, but it is starting to get stale for a lot of people, and I'm hearing a lot of talk about the game just not being good, or the game having balancing issues, or the game having issues with replayability or anything like that. Now, I think the #1 reason for this is because too many balance changes are made in this game. And that's because everything gets nerfed. Now, I don't think that the game being updated on a regular basis is a bad thing, but I think the game being constantly changed non-stop is contributing to a lot of, let's say, casual players kind of being like led away from this game. You know what I mean? Because let's say you're a level 1, right? And this was how it was for a lot of people whenever the game first came out, which I think drew kind of like a lot of people away. If you're, let's say, a level 1, right? You beat easy mode with Ranger, right? On, let's say, Aura Rig, right? You get a decent amount of rewards, right? You grind that for a little bit, and maybe beat intermediate, right? You got Operator, and you got Missile Trooper, right? Now, you start doing Ancient Sky Island with Missile Trooper. But after a while, John decides, you know what? Let's change Missile Trooper. It's a little bit too easy for early game players to progress, right? See, this hurts the regular player because if they're not playing 24/7, if they're not in the Discord server for TDX, it is going to seem like they're the problem whenever they're like in the game and the tower does worse. And keep in mind, this is the casual player. This is the casual experience. So I think that kind of needs to be addressed because this game, it's being very targeted for an older player base right now, when it needs to be targeted more for the average player for Roblox, which is obviously not going to be 17, 16, 15. It's going to be 12, 13, 14, maybe 11. So, and that's kind of just how Roblox works. You need to cater your games for a younger audience, or else it's going to eventually just fail. And that's kind of the sad thing about Roblox, and it's a reality that the devs really do need to think about, where if they want to create a really hard tower defense game, they have to have a very good balance of early game players being able to play the game and have fun, and late game players also being able to play the game and have fun. Now, another issue that I'm seeing a lot of people bring up now after this recent update is that it is way too hard to grind anything, because people want to progress in this game. Like, people that want to cannot progress nearly as fast as people did in the past, which can be a major issue because it can cause people to think that no matter how long they play this game, they're just not going to be as good as the best player in the world. Which, I know this game isn't really supposed to be like competitive, but still, it kind of leads people away from the game, which I think is causing a drop in the player base. Now, something that could fix this is something that isn't just based off level, because in this game right now everything's kind of just based off level. So I think we should want, or like the game should get players to, maybe late game players that have their own game mode. Now this is just like, this is not like a complete recommendation, but let's say they have PvP mode in the game, right? It is going to add something in the game that is like, the casual players can grind the game out regularly, get the towers, and then the endgame players can like show how good they are in PvP mode. Now this would cause something good, because it's not just going to be based off levels. You could be level 150, but you could be pretty bad at PvP, because you could have just been grinding that entire time. And just no life in the game, which means nothing for your skill. Like a lot of these level 150 players in the game, they just did easy mode. And that's the secret. They just did easy mode on the impossible map. And the harsh reality of it is that these people that already have level 150, they're just going to get level 150 and quit. That's a lot of them. And it's kind of just the appeal of the game right now, that to get level 150 and stop, because there's nothing past then. Which I think is another issue in itself, because there's just not much late game content besides Warship. And Warship is like, okay, I've been talking a lot of smack about the game right now. Warship is a fun tower, and it was needed for this game, because it is late game content, and it is fun late game content that changes up the meta in the game, which is what this game needed, because it gets really stale, like really fast, and it needed a change in the game. So that's good. Like the devs are doing something good on that part. Now, next thing I like to talk about is that everything that is kind of fun in this game, an example of this could be barracks, or could be, let's say, cow annoyance placements, right? Where like how you could place it on like the fence and all that. Also, I may die here, honestly. I'm struggling quite a bit. Hoping I don't die. Whatever, I'll be fine. But stuff like barracks and the cow annoyance placements, that was fun for the casual and the good player, because that created a sense of, I know something in this game that is like, is going to help me, or I know something in this game that gives them a sense of like a cool trick. Like people that played cow annoyance, right? Which I saw a lot of like mid game players, let's say the range of around 60 to 80, playing cow annoyance and doing the barracks strategy, where barracks is fun, but another part of it is that they think they're like, it's a cool trick or whatever, that they know to like place a juggernaut on a barrel. Like that could be seen as pretty cool, because as like a new player, you're like, oh wow, you can make it see over this map placement, all because I can make it see over a barrel, or place it on a barrel, which makes the game kind of have this sense of like, it's just fun. It's fun that you like, you know something that not like the newest player knows. But in reality, it's just mid-game players like thinking they know a crazy strategy when they don't really. And I think that it's just fun. I don't really know how to explain it anymore. It's just like, it's fun for the mid game player to have like a cool trick or a strategy or whatever that they think like goes against the game. And I think it was kind of a bad decision for John to remake the placement map on cow annoyance. I understand that it was unbalanced. Oh, voice crack. Oh my gosh. It was unbalanced for like the average player, but I do think it would have been good for the game in the long run, just keep it. And another thing that I see about this game is that this game is too hard to get into, which I can see greatly. I can see that a lot. I see that all the time. I think this game is very hard to get into, because you need to know what you're doing. You need to know the towers. You need to know what you're talking about. You can't just you can't really just willy-nilly your way into this game and know exactly what to do and win every game. And for the average player, you're not going to win every game. It's just that simple, which drives a lot of new players away, which is due to the player count. Now, what does TDX need to improve on? Obviously, they need to make the game more casual. I think that's kind of just a given. And they just need to add more end game besides content, or like end game content past level 150. Once they do that, it'll make the game more fun for people that have played the game and know everything about it, and it's just not repetitive anymore, which I think the game struggles with a little bit right now, which causes the players that already have above level 100 to just stop playing. Another thing, I think this is just a suggestion. A lot of people are going to be against this, but I think it's good for a game's longevity and player count and like people just generally having fun. I think that whenever there is an event in a game or just a time period in a game where there's not going to be that many updates, because it is unrealistic to expect a game to update nonstop. But whenever there is a game that is not going to have a lot of updates, or there's an event out and you're not going to update, or the devs are going on break, they need to have something that is long-term content. That is the biggest problem about the Christmas event right now. There was nada long-term content in that game. You played the same map, which gets pretty repetitive and boring, like, let's be honest now. And you get six rewards for that map every single time you beat it. And they're just skin rewards. So for the casual player, they're not going to think that they really want those skins. And I'm not going to say they're mediocre skins, but let's be honest, compared to TDS, because let's say a lot of casual players are going to be comparing to TDS, it's pretty mid skins for that level. And they just don't look that good, and it kind of just like pushes players off. So I think that if you do have an event, you have to have a battle pass, or you have to have some form of long-term content that keeps players in at your game. Now, I think this game, because I don't want to think that I'm only saying bad things about this game. This is by far my favorite game right now, and I've been playing it nonstop for like ever since the day of release. I think what the game has done on animations is crazy. I think the characters that the game has created is really good, and I think that going forward, the devs will like make the right decision on how to take the game. At least I hope. I hope very much. But yeah, I also think the maps are really good, and that's real. Like, I think that's probably what this game does best right now. Their maps are just beyond good. Every single map that has been released since launch, besides Vinland, I don't like Vinland. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's very stale, and I think it's too. They're just playing off winter, like the winter map that's hard. I forgot the name. But besides that, like, their maps are really good. I just think they really need to improve on like longevity content, which will keep players at the game. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I wanted to I just want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. I'm obviously a new YouTuber. I'm trying this thing out. The upload schedule might not be crazy good, not even gonna lie to you. But if you want to see more videos like this, or you like this kind of content where I kind of just ramble about the most random stuff, and you probably can't even understand me 90% of the time, just like the video and comment and say that you enjoyed it. So yeah, have a good day, everyone. Bye.